Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 1st of December, comes to you from London. And we start, as always, by looking at the dollar, and the dollar falling away again this morning, coming back below the cloud on the short-term chart. So we are really seeing this resistance having an effect. Key thing is, will we take out the September low on this weekly chart? We would see that as a lower low. And of course, we have got support here on the point and figure chart. Will we activate these downside targets? Interestingly, off the bounce that we did see, we've got a new upside target, but we need to move higher than this level of 93.50 that we saw yesterday to activate that target. So that's quite key. The downside target is still in place of 2.65% at 90.37, which would take us to a new low. So the dollar is short-term bearish again. So we are just still continuing to see that sell-off. Euro looking a little stronger, but of course we've got to get through this high at about 121. At the conference, at the Reuters conference yesterday, I was saying the 120 level is pretty critical. If we can see 3 weeks above 120 on euro dollar, then it would be a strong turning point for the euro, and that would show up in the point and figure chart with this upside target activated as well. So keeping an eye on these highs and lows are really important for euro and the dollar. Looking at dollar against the yen, it has been strengthening quite significantly here, and so the dollar is looking stronger on the yen. Sterling had a big bounce yesterday and is trending higher against the dollar, sitting at this 135 level, just tantalizingly close to breaking this long-term cloud resistance. But again, we'd want to see a few weeks above that level and really clearly taking out this high that we saw back in September. Sterling against the euro, looking stronger last few days and turning bullish in the medium and long term, medium and short term, but a lot of work still to do on the long term chart. So quite key there as well. And against the Swiss franc, we're seeing sterling just turning down a bit this morning, and against the Aussie dollar as well. Got as high as 179 there yesterday, so that's quite a significant move against the dollar. Taking a look at Bitcoin. Of course, all the news surrounding Bitcoin at the moment. What is interesting is we have come through the cloud on the short-term chart, and that's the first time we've done that for quite a while. It was back in early November that we were below the cloud. So it's really a case now of waiting for a move back above this cloud, and that's at about 10,200. So Bitcoin is just that little bit uncertain at the moment. 9,000 is the support level, but we are on the short-term chart now just a little bit uncertain. Looking at the S&P 500 index pushing high again yesterday. The Nasdaq recovering some of Thursday's sell-off. So looking a bit better there as well. We've got good upside targets to 3.9%, 2.5%, and still quite a bit to play for on the medium-term chart there. We've got 4%, and again on the long-term chart. So not massive upside targets for Nasdaq. We really need a big thrust off this low to provide us with a new target. So taking a look at the Dow, that's also looking bullish, just having hit the target that was given way back at 18,000 to 23,000. Now hit that target. You really can't ignore these targets when you see them. We do have one to 28,900, which is 19% higher from here, but it's a lone target, so a little bit difficult to call. US market's looking very extended at the moment. That's not to say they're bearish. The Russell 2000 even, we've got targets of 19% here as well. So we are seeing significant upside short-term target. So this buying spree on US stocks is pretty broad-based. Looking at the future, down very slightly on the S&P. The Nasdaq E-mini down 0.33%, so a third of a percent down. That is actually looking like we might open a bit lower on tech. FTSE 100 sinking lower this morning, looking very bearish on the short-term chart. Downside targets of 1.6 and 5% here on the short-term point and figure, and turning bearish on the medium term as well, as is the FTSE 250. UK stocks just continuing to underperform. Stronger sterling having an impact there on some of the blue chips, of course. The DAX falling lower on a stronger euro this morning as well. So we've got markets selling off across the board, really. The Nikkei looking okay on the weaker yen. Hang Seng turning to bearish territory. Shanghai still sitting in bearish territory on the short-term chart. And the Sensex even turning bearish as well. So markets having a bit of a sell-off towards the end of the week there. And the S&P 500, the S&P 200 Australian index looking a little bit better than most. Brent crude sitting at $63.02. OPEC announcement yesterday not really impacting the price in any meaningful way. We were as low as 62.25, so we've recovered 63 again, but we are in bearish territory. Looks like we might just get a little bit of an end of year sell-off. WTI, much the same thing. We're bearish below the cloud here as well, and we've got some downside targets here activated, 3.5%. The 5% target not yet activated. If we look at the US nat gas, sitting above $3 at $3.07, $3.10, sorry, and so it is holding this $3 level, but 3.20 is the level that we need to break. Still very much in the doldrums. $3 is the new normal for US nat gas. Looking at copper, we see copper is bearish below the cloud on the short term. We've got quite good medium and long term charts here, but until we get back above this sort of 310 level on copper, we are looking fairly bearish. Heating oils had a bit of a sell-off too, and we're just bearish below the cloud, but the medium and long term charts still look pretty good. Gold had a really tough day the last couple of days. Actually, it's sold off quite significant from the mid 1290s back to the mid 1270s. So we are in bearish territory on the gold chart. We haven't activated any clear downside targets here. We will have a new downside target off this sell-off yesterday, and we do have targets to potentially the 1240s area, but the long-term chart's still intact and relying a little bit on a strong showing in the first quarter, which is what we normally see on the gold price, where it goes a little bit higher. Silver also looking bearish below the cloud, of course. US Treasury yield sitting at 2.39%. And if we get to Apple, just holding its bullish position there. Google just coming a little bit below the cloud. Tech just looking a little bit less good than it has been of late. Amazon just holding on to its bullishness. Facebook still bearish after that big sell-off on Thursday, and having found a floor at about 175. And Microsoft looking better than most, bullish on all three time frames. That's it for today. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Happy charting. See you then.